Now, what's next for the Gaza ceasefire, and will the truce last? More than 2 months after Israel and Hamas agreed a ceasefire, halting 2 years of devastating warfare in Gaza, most fighting has stopped. However, both sides accuse each other of major breaches and the deal and look to closer to accepting a more difficult step envisaged for the next phase.
More than 2 months after Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire, pausing 2 years of devastating warfare in Gaza, most of the fighting has stopped. However, tensions remain as both sides accuse each other of breaching the agreement, and the most difficult steps of the peace process still need to be addressed. So what was initially agreed? The ceasefire steps are outlined in 3 documents. The most detailed is a 20-point plan issued by US President Donald Trump in September. It ultimately calls for Hamas to disarm and have no governing role in Gaza, and for Israel to withdraw from the enclave. However, not all points have been fully agreed upon. On October 9, Israel and Hamas signed a more limited ceasefire deal. This included a hostage and prisoner release, a halt to warfare, partial Israeli withdrawal, and increased aid. The United Nations Security Council endorsed the Trump plan, authorizing a transitional governing body and international stabilization force in Gaza. Since the ceasefire, all 20 remaining living hostages have been returned, along with hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. However, disputes over aid persist. Hamas claims fewer aid trucks are entering Gaza than agreed. Aid agencies report a shortage of necessary supplies, but Israel denies blocking aid and states it is fulfilling its obligations under the truce. The Rafah border crossing into Egypt remains closed, pending the return of the last hostage's body. Meanwhile, Gaza is still in ruins, and residents face a humanitarian crisis. The UN's Children's Agency reports high levels of child malnutrition, compounded by flooding and a lack of sanitation. And some violence has continued. Palestinian militants have killed at least 3 Israeli soldiers in Gaza, while Israeli fire and operations targeting Hamas have killed around 400 Palestinians, according to Gaza health officials. So which key issues remain unresolved? The Trump plan envisions a transitional government overseen by an international board of peace, chaired by Trump, with announcements expected in 2026. However, Hamas insists it will only disarm once a Palestinian state is established. Well, the ceasefire's future is uncertain, and Israel has indicated it may resume military action if Hamas does not disarm peacefully. Many suspect the Trump plan may never be fully realized, and the frozen conflict could continue indefinitely. Despite international recognition for a Palestinian state, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ruled out a Palestinian statehood. Upcoming Israeli elections in 2026 offer little hope for change in his stance.